My Aunt Laura's toxic control over our family business turned into a shocking none of us saw coming. So for context, my family runs a small but successful bakery in town. It's been around for almost 20 years. My grandparents started it, then handed it down to my dad and his sister, my Aunt Laura 31. I'm 24, and I work there part-time while finishing school. The place has always been like a second home to me. I know every creaky step in the back storage room, every regular customer who comes in on Mondays for coffee and muffins. But everything changed once Laura started acting different. Laura has always been intense. She's smart and driven, but she also has this toxic side of super controlling, manipulative, and always needing to be the centre of attention. My dad Mark, 36, is more laid back, the kind of guy who cracks jokes with the staff while he's needing their. Naturally, their personalities clash, but for years they managed to balance each other out. Then, a few months ago, Laura started pushing for changes in the bakery. At first, it sounded fine: new branding, social media, updating the menu. But then she started undermining my dad in front of the employees. I'll never forget one morning when we were setting up. Laura, Mark, you're seriously still making those cinnamon rolls? They're outdated. Nobody wants those. My dad, Laura, customers literally ask for them every day. Laura rolling her eyes, that's because they don't know better. You're stuck in the past. It was so awkward, with the employees standing there pretending not to hear. I wanted to crawl into the flour barracks and disappear. Things escalated quickly. Laura started coming in late, but then criticizing everyone else for not working hard enough. She would scream at me if I used the wrong kind of garnish on a cake. She even banned my cousin Jenny, her own younger sister, 27, from the kitchen after Jenny accidentally burned a batch of bread. The betrayal part came slowly. We found out Laura had been making decisions behind everyone's backs. She opened a separate bank account under the bakery's name and was funneling money into it. At first, it was little stuff of business expenses she never explained. Then bigger amounts started disappearing. My dad only discovered it when a supply called asking why their invoice hadn't been paid. I remember the night we confronted her. It was in the bakery's office, cramped with file boxes stacked against the walls. My dad was sitting at the desk, his face pale. I was standing by the door, heart pounding. Laura walked in, all smug like she already knew what was coming. Dad, Laura, where's the money? Laura shrugging. What money? Dad, don't play dumb. Thousands are missing. I saw the transfers. Laura smiling coldly. Oh, that money. I'm investing it for us. I swear my stomach dropped. Investing? Without telling anyone? Without asking? And that was just the beginning of the mess. The second Laura said the word investing, my dad's face went red. He leaned forward over the desk, hands gripping the edge like he was holding himself back. Dad, invest in what? In whose name? Do you even hear yourself? Laura, Mark, calm down. You're so dramatic. I didn't steal anything. I'm making moves to expand something you'd never have the guts to do. I remember blurting out before I could stop myself. Me, you can't just move thousands of dollars around without telling anyone. That's literally fraud. Laura shot me this icy glare that made my chest tighten. It was the kind of look that said, you're beneath me, stay in your lane. She leaned back against the filing cabinet and crossed her arms. Laura, fraud, please. If I waited for you two to make decisions, we'd still be selling stale muffins to old ladies. You should be thanking me. At that point, Jenny walked in, holding her phone. She'd overheard enough from the hallway. Jenny, thanking you. Laura, half the staff wants to quit because of you. Do you even care? Laura snapping. Don't start. Jenny, you've never understood business. That's why you're still a waitress while I'm running things. Jenny's face went pale. My dad stood up so fast his chair slammed into the wall. Dad, enough. This is our family business, not yours to hijack. You don't get to belittle your own sister and steal from us. Laura didn't flinch. Instead, she smirked and pulled a folder out of her bag. Inside were glossy mock-ups, new branding, menus, even a draft for a second location. At the bottom was her name only, Laura's Artisan Bakery. That's when it hit us. She wasn't investing for us, she was trying to break away, using the bakery's money to launch her own shop. My chest felt tight like I couldn't breathe. My dad picked up one of the mock-ups and slammed it back down. Dad, you're opening your own place with our money? Laura, call me. Correction, my money. I've put in just as much work, if not more, than you. I deserve to step out on my own. Jenny, that's betrayal. Laura, do you hear yourself? It was like talking to a wall. She didn't see betrayal, she saw ambition. And honestly, the way she looked at us, I don't think she felt guilty at all. The next few days were chaos. Word got out among the staff, and morale tanked. A couple of employees quit on the spot. Customers started whispering when they saw my dad and Laura fighting behind the counter. My grandma, the founder of the bakery, came in one afternoon and just burst into tears when she heard. I kept thinking back to all the mornings we'd opened together, the laughter, the smell of fresh bread. Now the place felt poisoned. And then Laura made her move. She emptied more from the account and signed a lease for a storefront 2 blocks away. That's when things really exploded. By the time Laura signed a lease, the bakery felt like a war zone. Word spread fast, staff were choosing sides, customers were noticing the tension, and my dad looked like he hadn't slept in a week. I spent most mornings hiding in the storage room, trying not to cry while listening to Laura bark orders at the staff. The first real confrontation happened during a Saturday rush. The place was packed to our usual weekend crowd plus a few new faces. I was at the counter, taking orders, when I heard shouting from the kitchen. Laura, no, that's wrong, you're doing it all wrong. Jenna, a long-time pastry chef. Laura, I've made these for 10 years, calm down. Laura, I don't care how long you've made them. I said this way, now do it. People were staring. I could feel the heat of embarrassment creeping up my neck. I grabbed my phone and called Jenny, hoping she could calm her down. Jenny arrived, cheeks flushed with anger. Jenny, Laura, seriously, stop humiliating everyone. You're making the whole bakery miserable. Laura scoffing, miserable? I'm trying to save this place from mediocrity, and you call it miserable? The tension snapped. One of our regulars, Mrs. Thompson, walked up to me mid-order, whispering, Mrs. Thompson, is your aunt always like this? She's scaring everyone off. I wanted to disappear. But that day was only the beginning. Staff began taking sides openly. Sam, our assistant baker, actually walked out in the middle of a shift, shaking his head. Sam, I can't work under this toxicity. I'm done. Even my dad's friend, Mike, could help manage the bookkeeping, confronted her. Mike, Laura, this isn't how family businesses work. You can't just steal funds and expect everyone to cheer you on. Laura smiling faintly. I'm not stealing. I'm creating opportunity. Opportunity, right. But it felt like a dagger to our family. I spent nights researching legal options, desperate to figure out how to stop her without destroying what my grandparents built. I knew Laura was clever, but she wasn't invincible. My dad tried to reason with her, he even offered to buy her out, but she refused. At home, the family dinners were silent. Grandma avoided talking about the bakery, as if acknowledging it would make the hurt real. Jenny wouldn't sit at the same table as Laura. And me? I kept replaying her cold smile in my head, realizing she'd never felt any guilt. Then the breaking point came. Laura opened her new bakery 2 blocks away, using our recipes, our suppliers, and even copying the layout almost exactly. She even posted on social media boasting about her grand opening with staff photos she'd taken secretly while at our bakery. It was beyond betrayal. It wasn't just money or control, it was identity theft of the family's legacy. That night, Dad, Grandma, Jenny, and I sat down in the living room, exhausted and angry. Grandma's hands trembled as she held her old recipe notebook. Grandma, I can't believe she would do this to me. It was like the air had been sucked out of the room. Everyone knew things would never be the same. The next morning, Dad called a family meeting at the bakery. Grandma sat in her favourite chair near the counter, clutching her recipe notebook like a shield. Jenny, Sam, and a few loyal staff gathered, while Laura leaned against the wall, arms crossed, wearing that same smug smile that made my blood boil. Dad, Laura, this ends now. You've used our money, our recipes, and our reputation to start your own business. We're going to take legal action if we have to. Laura laughed lightly, tilting her head. Laura, legal action. Mark, please, I haven't done anything illegal. Everything I did was for growth. You're just too scared to take risks. I wanted to scream. Scared. We're scared you'll destroy what our family built. But I held back. Deep down, I knew yelling wouldn't change anything. Grandma, Laura, this isn't growth. It's theft. This. I taught you better than this. Laura shrugged, but I saw a flicker of something in her eyes, maybe irritation, maybe guilt, but it disappeared before anyone could notice. We called the lawyer that afternoon. It was tense. Dad and Jenny explained everything, the missing money, the transfers, the plans for her new shop. Laura sat quietly, nodding occasionally, like she was listening politely to a story she didn't care about. The lawyer was blunt. Lawyer, if your aunt is using company funds and recipes without authorization, you have a solid case, but it's messy, because she's family, and she can argue she invested time and effort. We left the meeting shaken. That night, I found myself pacing in the bakery's empty kitchen, thinking about everything Laura had done. She had destroyed trust. She had manipulated employees, humiliated family members, and turned our loyal customers against us with her sly social media posts. The next day, the confrontation escalated. Laura stormed into the bakery unannounced, shouting at Sam for a minor mistake. Laura, you call this a batch? My clients wouldn't stand for this. Dad stepped in, his face pale but determined. Dad, Laura, step outside, now. She glared at him but finally left. I remember standing behind the counter, feeling a mix of relief and rage. For the first time, it felt like we were taking control back. Then came the real twist. Laura's expansion began to backfire. Social media posts started getting negative comments, customers recognized the recipes and felt cheated. Employees at her new bakery quit one by one because of her behavior. Word got around town that she had taken money from the family bakery. Suddenly, her empire wasn't looking so invincible. Dad, Grandma, and I worked tirelessly to repair our reputation. We posted on social media, engaged with loyal customers, and made small improvements in the bakery. It was exhausting, but seeing the community stand by us was a small relief. I couldn't help but feel conflicted. Part of me still wanted to confront Laura directly, to make her see the damage she'd caused. Another part wanted to block her out completely, like she never existed. And then it happened, the confrontation that would finally bring everything to a head. The day of the final confrontation, tension in the bakery was electric. Grandma had insisted on being there, clutching her old recipe notebook like a talisman. Dad had cleared the schedule so we wouldn't have customers interrupting, and Jenny, Sam, and I were ready for whatever Laura had to throw at us. Laura walked in right on time, like she earned the place. Her expression was smug, confident, as if she thought she was about to win some kind of trophy. I could feel my chest tightening with every step she took. Dad, Laura, we need to talk now. She rolled her eyes dramatically, arms crossed. Laura, oh, are we finally going to do this? Lay out all the accusations and act like I'm the villain. Jenny, you're the villain. Laura, you took money, humiliated everyone, and opened a bakery using our recipes. Laura's face twisted into a half smile, half sneer. Laura, I didn't humiliate anyone. I'm helping you see the bigger picture, and the recipes you act like ideas belong to people. I put in the work. Grandma finally spoke, voice shaking but strong. Grandma, Laura, this isn't work. This is. I raised you to honor family, not destroy it for selfish gain. Laura's smile faltered just for a second. Then she snapped back into her confident mask. Laura, selfish. Mark, she's your bakery too. You've been holding everyone back with your fear and doubt. I just took action. If you can't see that, it's your problem. Dad slammed his hands on the counter. Dad, enough, you've gone too far. This isn't just about money, it's about trust, loyalty, family, and you broke all of it. I stepped forward, heart pounding, words rushing out. Me, you think you're clever, Laura, but you've alienated everyone. Staff hate you, customers are leaving, and your so-called business is falling apart. You didn't win anything, you lost us. For a moment, the bakery was silent. Laura's jaw tightened. She looked around, seeing the angry, disappointed faces of the family she thought she could manipulate. Laura, voice dropping. You don't understand, I had to do it my way. I couldn't wait for you all. Grandma, your way destroyed what we built together, and now you have to face the consequences. Finally, Laura's defenses cracked. I saw it in her eyes, the faint shadow of guilt. Not full remorse, but enough to show she realized she couldn't charm her way out. She muttered something under her breath and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. We all stood there, silent, processing what had just happened. The tension in the bakery began to lift, replaced with a heavy mix of relief and lingering pain. Grandma hugged Dad and Jenny, then me, whispering, Grandma, it hurts, but we'll rebuild. We always do. And in that moment, I realized something. Laura might have betrayed us, but she hadn't broken the family completely. We still had each other, and we still had the bakery. The fight wasn't over legally, but emotionally, it felt like we'd reclaimed what she tried to take. And for the first time in months, I felt a glimmer of hope. After Laura stormed out, the bakery felt eerily quiet. For the first few days, we barely spoke, just going through motions, kneading dough, rolling pastries, and fixing small mistakes that had been ignored during the chaos. But slowly, things started to feel normal again. Dad called a staff meeting, and it was the first time I saw genuine smiles from people who had been terrified of Laura. Sam was back, holding a tray of fresh sauces, joking about how he almost had a nervous breakdown but was willing to forgive if we promised never to hire a tyrant again. Jenny, too, began taking a more active role, helping with bookkeeping and even managing some of the social media posts, this time honestly and transparently. We decided to make some changes not because Laura forced us, but because we realised our business could be stronger with clear communication and boundaries. Grandma taught me her secret frosting techniques, and I started experimenting with new flavours that our loyal customers loved. Dad focused on strengthening relationships with suppliers and bringing in some creative ideas that Laura had previously dismissed. One Saturday morning, a regular customer came in and noticed the difference immediately. Customer, wow, this place feels lighter, happier. Did something change? Dad smiling, just getting back to what we do best, speaking with family and love, not ego. It felt amazing to hear. For months, we had been weighed down by Laura's toxic behaviour, and now the bakery's heart seemed to beat again. Even though we were rebuilding, the legal battle with Laura lingered. She tried to claim partial ownership of the recipes and some investment rights, but we had documented everything and had witnesses. Our lawyer was confident, and Dad reminded us that we were protecting what Grandma had built, not just for ourselves but for the community that depended on us. On the personal side, it took longer. Grandma was still wary, and Jenny and I had trust issues lingering whenever anyone new joined the staff. But we talked openly about Laura's betrayal, and over time, it helped. We learned that confronting toxic behaviour wasn't about revenge, it was about protecting each other and the legacy of the baker. I remember one evening closing up the bakery with Dad and Jenny. We sat in the back room, exhausted, covered in flour, and laughed for the first time in months. Grandma joined us, and for a moment it felt like the old days, warm, chaotic, filled with love and a little mischief. Dad, we survived her. Jenny barely. Me laughing, and we'll rebuild better. Even though Laura's betrayal left scars, it also brought the family closer. We learned how fragile trust can be, how easily toxic behaviour can poison a business and a family, and most importantly, how resilience and unity can heal. I don't know if Laura will ever apologise or if she even feels remorse, but that day, watching the bakery alive again, I realised that some betrayals don't destroy you. They teach you who your true family is and what you're capable of surviving. Months passed, and the bakery slowly returned to its rhythm. Word of mouth spread that we were back to normal, and loyal customers returned, some even bringing friends. The community support reminded us why the family business mattered, not just as a livelihood, but as a shared space of love and tradition. We still didn't hear much from Laura. Her bakery opened with a small crowd initially, but reviews started trickling in comments about her harsh treatment of staff, mistakes in recipes, and lack of authenticity. We stayed out of her way, letting her actions speak for themselves. It was oddly satisfying to watch reality catch up without our interference. One quiet evening, I stayed late helping Dad clean up the kitchen. Grandma was at home resting, and Jenny had gone to run an errand. I was arranging flour sacks when Dad came over, wiping his hands on a towel. Dad, you know it's weird. I thought losing her would crush us, but it didn't. Somehow, we're stronger. Me, I think we just realised who we really are as a family. He nodded, smiling faintly. The bakery wasn't perfect, it never would be, but the trust between us, the shared history, and the memories we protected felt unbreakable. Grandma came in the next morning, peering over the counter. Grandma, I still can't believe your aunt tried to take this from us, but seeing you all work together like this, I'm proud. You didn't let her poison us completely. Jenny, we're learning the hard way, but I think we finally understand what family really means. The scars Laura left weren't gone. I couldn't forget her smirk, her icy glaze, or the betrayal that shook us to the core. But those memories didn't control us, they reminded us why we had to act, why boundaries mattered, and why honesty and respect were non-negotiable. We implemented stricter financial controls, clear communication systems, and even held monthly family meetings to prevent anyone else from trying something similar. Slowly, our confidence returned. Each loaf of bread, each decorated cake, each loyal customer reminded us that the bakery wasn't defined by one toxic person, it was defined by all of us working together. One afternoon, while closing up, I stood by the front window, looking out at the quiet street where Laura's bakery sat 2 blocks away. The neon sign flickered slightly in the sunset. I felt a mix of sadness and relief, anger and closure. Me whispering to myself, you tried, Laura, but we survived, and we'll keep surviving. It wasn't revenge, it was resilience. The betrayal had shaken us, yes, but it didn't destroy us. It taught us lessons we'd never forget about trust, boundaries, and the strength of family unity. And as the sun set over the bakery, I realised something important. Our family, our legacy, and our love for this business were bigger than any one person's greed or ego. Laura might have walked away, but we weren't broken. Not even close.